Thank you very much. And it's a real pleasure to invite you to a most wonderful journey in this historical background. I invite you to study most stunning phenomena, scarcity, which, as we will learn throughout this day, is surrounding us everywhere, yet it remains almost unknown to humanity. And it's not just my play with this phenomena. As you will see, it is really a crucial instrument to understand how people cooperate in the free economy, why they feel insecure, and why government comes in with different interventions. So this will be a tool to understand all the background of interventions and our moral judgment about it. Most people think that scarcity is a barely economic phenomenon. Of course, economics deals with scarcity. It's the grounding principle of why we must have money, prices, and most people would even dare to say that it is economists who create scarcity. It is business people who create our demand and will to acquire things. So when we started our study, it was quite difficult to broaden our horizon, and therefore we decided to go beyond economics, to invite scholars from all those disciplines to study what humanity knows about this phenomena. So we decided it's important to study with the classics, with philosophy, theology, and also engage social sciences. And in order to help you to broaden understanding of what scarcity is, because in different languages there are very different terms being used. It is anything that refers to some imperfection, some insufficiency, lack. And the antonyms of scarcity are abundance, completeness, perfection, and so on. So in our study we really looked at all different aspects. Doesn't matter under which term it is hiding itself. So we were lucky to find out that it was already Aristotle who, in his search for the most fundamental formula of any change, got to understand that form and matter, which were basic notions for him, do not explain why change occurs. So Aristotle geniusly says that the dualism of form and matter cannot explain things. There must be scarcity, some character that is missing at some point of time may be acquired. It's not non-existence, it's just something that can be acquired but is not yet here. And the Greek term, I think, is very delicately explains us that it's something that is not yet here. Because in most languages, the name of scarcity is very negative. It's like something which was given but taken away, or something which was promised but not delivered. So already human beings, by calling scarcity, already have very negative connotations. So I think Greek language is a little bit more delicate on this point, and so Aristotle found out that this is really universal principle. If it is an origin of every change, of every evolvement, it must be found everywhere. It must be in spirit, in will, what will be most important for our studies today, in knowledge, in health. People are mortal, and the major fear of people comes from the fear of death. And the lack of will, also as we will see, is instrumental, because by lacking good, will of a man can search good, can acquire good. And scarcity manifests itself in time, space, and body. So when Aristotle speaks about form and matter, he says, only absolute form, which is God, does not have scarcity. Anything that acquires matter must be marked by scarcity. And this is why change is possible. Everything that is alive only because it is lacking something. It's not perfect yet, so it can advance itself to towards new features, towards something that was not yet here. And St. Thomas Aquinas, elaborating on Aristotle, writes about three causes of being: form, matter, and privation. Note that in Latin, privatio already has more negative connotation than in Greek. Here is a map which I will not go through, just to show to you that our multidisciplinary approach was not just a matter of fashion. We really studied all that was found out by the scholars, and we drafted a map of all basic concepts, which allowed us to see the phenomenon that are surrounding us anew. Because if scarcity is one of the three causes of every evolvement, which was not yet known to us, our relationship with most phenomena, with most things that surround us, must be rethought as well. So it was a basic exercise which allowed us to understand economic action of man, importance of morality in you, and especially to see how scarcity manifests itself in time and why it is creating so much uneasiness and insecurity to man. Because what will come later is always covered by time. Just to give you a very simple example of philosophic approach to scarcity, let us consider a seed which is put in the soil and which may become a tree. So already the seed lacks the abundance of the tree. And we may think that at every moment, for example, before the sprout comes out of the soil, the seed lacks this character of sprout. Next moment it will lack the character of body. It will lack leaves, blossom, fruit. So this is a peculiar philosophic approach, but it helps us to understand how we are surrounded by these scarcities. But so we may say that what is inbuilt in nature of a creature can be seen as lacked at every moment of time before it is fulfilled. A human being is special. It is only a human being who can see scarcity where no animal can see it. And here we come to most stunning finding of our study, that scarcity is related to our liberty. It is only a human being who may notice that some things may be perfected, some new things can be created. We can offer something new to each other. And it is only because the world is not perfect, the world is not complete, that we can add something. This building could be built only because the world was not perfected, because in the perfect world all buildings would have been already here. All trees would have been already in blossom and bringing fruits. So if the world was complete, there would be no space for man to create and to perform our liberty. And what is most important, especially when it comes to study labor relations of people, it is only by our creativity that we become who we are. So we are imperfect, the world is imperfect, and our imperfection connected creates advancement, both of the world and of ourselves. So why, if scarcity is so important, we can see it almost as a eternal vehicle behind all that we do. Because when we lack knowledge, we acquire knowledge. When we lack friendship, we acquire new friends and colleagues. So everything, when we start looking at this, at every phenomena, it has some scarcity as a vehicle of change, as a vehicle of acquiring something new and more perfect. Why do people ignore this phenomena? We found out that there are plenty of reasons why scarcity remained hidden from humanity. When it has its positive impact on us, as a catalyst, as a potential, even Aristotle connected this to potentia, we pass it unnoticed. You know, good things, we take them for granted and we don't say thank you. But when we face scarcity as a lack of something, as insecurity, a lack of safety, then we are always awakened. And we want to struggle, we want to hide from it. People take it as a very personal threat, as personal injustice. And we found out that even for a distinguished scholar, frequently it is not easy to start thinking about scarcity in most fundamental way. He remembers some wounds when he was not given something, when he was cheated and so on, and it blocks even distinguished minds from contemplating these phenomena. And also a modern economy which created abundance and surplus in a paradoxical way hides scarcity from humanity. So many people think that we just need another 100 years of progress to combat poverty, death, and so on. So scarcity is covered, and many advanced scholars think that the time is very close when there will be no scarcity. And also scarcity is an element of being, but it is not an entity. So it's again hiding itself. It's not very easy. We suffered a lot while we found out this phenomena. And it's always, as I mentioned, it's always covered by time. What is a great separation line, that there is not only this primordial scarcity which I was speaking about, but also there is a secondary scarcity which may be created by our imperfect action, by our vices, stealing, lying, all this kind of thing of action create secondary scarcity. And people, of course, are wounded by the manifestation of such scarcity, and without knowing that there is also primordial scarcity, they start to treat all scarcities as injustice. They confuse the primordial with the secondary. And the main purpose of government intervention, which probably should be to handle the secondary scarcity, they start fighting with all kinds of scarcity, and actually they take out the catalyst of our growth and advancement, as we will see through the welfare policy analysis. So they want to fight all and eliminate all kinds of scarcities. And economic phenomena like money, of course, exchange, profit-seeking, are accused of creating scarcity, which is a big injustice, because actually they helped humanity to respond to scarcity in the most positive way. We are able to get our bread not at the expense of the blood of our neighbor. You know, it is a great achievement of modern economy, but no one appreciates it. So consequences of negating and neglecting scarcity are many. As we will see throughout the day, uneasiness and insecurity are treated as enemies of human race, and of course the government is equipped with any possible instrument to fight it. Politics is turned into eternal promise to eliminate scarcity. Start analyzing what politicians speak about. They promise to abolish all different aspects in scarcity in our life. All utopias exist only because scarcity is not admitted. And sorry, I didn't mention too much the scarcity of us, of human beings. Like socialist utopia mainly does not admit that human beings are frail, sinful, and so on. And therefore they build a perfect order, but they lack angels for this order. And we do not train our children about the positive role of scarcity. So we are not equipped, when we start living, we are not equipped to face scarcity in a positive way, to say, hi, this is a challenge, I will do it, this is nice, it brings us to cooperate together. We always, first, our reaction is we are upset, we are crying, we are blaming someone. This is very unpeaceful phenomena, because we always blame someone for creating our scarcity. So this creates a lot of both personal and social tensions. And we live in perpetual illusions, and economic life is just not probably the most important, because in personal relationships we also have a lot of illusions about the princes on white horses and so on. So we lack understanding about really how human is, and how to appreciate our imperfection. And benefits of recognition of scarcity are also many. Most dear to me, I may say, is that by defining the ontological roots of scarcity, we can see all evolvement of economy and all economic phenomena anew. They are intrinsic humanity's response to scarcity. There is no other peaceful way to respond to scarcity, and since this phenomena allows us to continue life, to feed our children, to have houses, warmth, and so on, they are ontologically good phenomena. So here I think moral goodness and ontological goodness is being mixed, and it leads to a fatal accuse of economy being morally wrong. When we remove this stigma of economy and economic phenomena, we may really open the grounds to see how human behave, because every action, of course, is open to good and wrong, and economy is not an exception. So we open possibility for everyone not to blame profit-seeking, but to see how he really acts, and to train himself, and to appreciate the help of moral principles, because it's not easy at the moment of action to see the outcome. There are many tensions that surround our action. So here, men may start appreciating all the cultural heritage, tradition, moral norms that will help him to take appropriate action, and not to increase secondary scarcity around us. I think the main aim of moral support is not to create secondary scarcity around us. not to wound our fellow men. So what's new with our study? How does it change our understanding of the being, of man, of economic life, of government intervention? So, as I mentioned, one of the main achievements is that understanding that ontological scarcity is a cause of every human action, learning, every mutuality. And economic phenomena, labor, division of labor, all of these nice things, they are a human response to scarcity. They cannot be replaced if we remain the same. Liberty-scarcity dialogue is a very precious thing to us because it explains the role. It allows to deep understand liberty and to appreciate our creativity and to be protected from utopias. It's funny because you mentioned Marx. Let me also mention that Marx was not so much private property was even a smaller enemy to Marx than the spontaneity of the market. He hated being dependent on nature, and scarcity is the main dependence coming from nature. And he hated being dependent on spontaneity of the market, which means on change. So here we see how nicely those phenomena come together. Scarcity as a cause of change, and Marxist utopias as something which wants to stop change, which wants to govern, all by human mind. And so we can, today we will see politics as an exercise to eliminate scarcity, insecurity in many, many different aspects. And since normal economic action of man has a long heritage of moral study. People always studied what is good in partnership, what should be avoided, and so on. But the sphere of regulation is very new. People are extremely confused here. They don't understand what is good and what is wrong. And since, as we see, the whole creation of regulation is based on a wrong agenda, on unjust agenda. So I think we may invite ourselves to a major revision of, especially of the sphere of regulation, how it challenges a human being, what new moral dilemmas appear, are we able to respond to them, how it changes who we are. So I invite to have many more insights by you, since this subject is really universal, and wherever you want to apply your academic knowledge, you will find a lot of exciting things to be studied. Thank you.